Welcome back to my channel. And as you can see by the title of this video, this is my celebrity astrology video. So I'm doing an astrological analysis of Miss Cardi B. So I have read her chart before, maybe like 2 years ago. I didn't do it on my channel. I just kind of read it because I was interested to see why she was what she was and how she became the way she did. And I do remember that she was born on a full moon. So I'm going to go into a little bit of just explaining what a full moon does, and then we can go into her chart. But before I do that, if you guys are new to this channel, hello, welcome. My name's Brandon. I do astrology videos. I also do other videos as well. I have all my social media linked in the description below, so if you want to follow me there, I make TikToks, Instagrams, Snapchat, all those things. So yeah, and I do a giveaway on my TikTok where I give away free readings as well. So that's something that's super exciting that I'm doing there. So if you want to get a free reading from me, you can go and link down there, and you can watch my TikTok on that. So without further ado, let's get started with the whole full moon thing. So let me just explain what it means to be born on a full moon. So being born on a full moon, so the full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposite each other, then opposite signs. And when there is a full moon, there is a very large completion that happens. There's a lot of energies that happens. Energies are heightened, emotions are heightened. People are more likely to act out of their emotions and do brash things. And that is because the moon and the sun they're kind of fighting with each other, and they're kind of like trying to balance each other out. So whenever there's an opposition, not just a full moon, but whenever there's an opposition in a natal chart, there is a very large need to have to balance those two energies out. What I remembered from her chart, I have it right here. I haven't looked like extensively at it, but I remember from her chart that I read a while ago is that she was born on a full moon with the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries. So with that alone, there is a lot to be said about that. So yeah, let's actually pull up her chart right now. Let's put it there. Wait, yeah, there. Yes, one of these sides. I'll figure it out. I always screw it up in the editing, but I fix it later because it doesn't matter. But anywho, the chart is one of those sides. So as you can see here, we have Miss Cardi B. I don't have the actual date on the screen, but she was born on October 11th, 1992. So I am only like a year older than her ish, 11 months older than her, which is crazy. So she does not have a birth time. So when there's not a birth time, it's a little bit more difficult to read the chart because there's not as much to be able to be read, because the birth time gives you an ascendant and gives you houses and all those things. And if you don't have that, it's kind of like going from reading a 3D chart to a 2D chart, because there's a lot more that you could read off of a 3D chart than a 2D chart. So it just makes it a little more difficult. It can still be read without a birth time. So she has kind of some interesting energy in her chart. So as I said, there is that full moon we have there. And if you actually look at the chart with all those there's a square that's actually formed in the middle, and then there's the X kind of in it as well. What that is actually a grand square, which is quite an interesting, so it's an astrological like map, I guess you could say, or an astrological like aspect that is very, very profound and very, very powerful. Any of like a grand trine or a grand square or even a T-square or a kite, those are all different sorts of energy, like, how do I explain it? Energy, like, sort of flows? Yeah, flows of energy, and they have the strongest effect on the native with that. So what happens in a grand square, you have 4 planets that are all in the same type of sign. So in this instance, we have the moon in Aries, sun in Libra, Mars in Cancer, and then Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. So all 4 of those are all in cardinal signs. So they're all squaring, they're both squaring the 2 signs and from an opposition to the sign across from it. So the Aries moon is squaring the Cancer Mars and the Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn and opposing the Libra sun. Same with the Cancer Mars. Cancer Mars is squaring the moon and the sun and opposing the Uranus and Neptune. And then so on and so forth. I'm not going to keep doing that. So with the grand square, there is a lot of pressure for the individual. There's a lot of hardships. a lot of it, there's a lot of stuff inside of the head that needs to be kind of fixed for people that have like grand squares and stuff. Not to say that like they automatically have mental illness. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other thing. But when there's a square, so squares manifest internally. So their belief systems, there's things that you go through that really, really affect you and that stop you from reaching the success of those two planets. So like, for instance, with the Sun and Mars square that she has, it's more of an internalized sort of issue between going after what you want and aligning that with your identity. Because for her, we have the Mars in Cancer squaring the Sun in Libra. So the Mars in Cancer wants a very emotional, a home, a family, roots, being able to just like relax and put the guard down. But the Sun in Libra is like, no, you have to be PR, you have to be out in the public, and you have to have this public image. And the Cancer Mars is just like, no, I don't want to do that. So it's hard to find that sort of balance between how to exert that energy and how to feel safe, and then also how to have a public persona as well. So there's that. So each square has its own thing. So there's squares and there's oppositions. The oppositions in this chart are going to be between Mars and Uranus and Neptune, and then the Moon and the Sun, obviously. So those oppositions are interesting. So when there's an opposition, kind of like with the full moon, the energies have to be balanced. So imagine two energies like kind of playing ping pong with each other, and they're kind of like back and forth from each other and trying to balance things out. So the Sun in Libra is over here, the Moon in Aries is over here, and they're both kind of like, no, I want to work, I want to do stuff this way, I want to do stuff this way, and the energies have to balance them out. When there is a opposition, the energy, instead of it being internalized like the square is, it is externalized. So this happens a lot with relationships. So when there is any sort of opposition, yes, those energies need to be balanced, but also they are more manifested in relationships. So you'll see that dynamic in her relationships with people, or anyone's relationships, not just hers, just in general. This is about like the squares and oppositions. And it definitely changes the way that they are perceived. Because if it's a square, it's really how you perceive yourself. Opposition, it's really how others perceive you. So we have that square there. And if you see, the Mars is actually trining the Venus and Pluto in Scorpio. So that's a very, very supportive energy. Mars and Pluto alone is a very powerful combination. Having them trine is very supportive of being able to really, really get very, very powerfully get stuff done. The Mars in Cancer, it doesn't really function that well, right? But then if you focus it with the Scorpio Pluto, it is able to accomplish quite a lot. So with the Mars trine Pluto and Mars trine Venus, and with that little Scorpio energy up there, so the Pluto and Venus and Mercury, with the Pluto and Venus conjunction in Scorpio, whenever there's a Pluto-Venus aspect in a woman's chart, it causes a lot of over-sexualization of themselves. And they definitely know how to channel their sexual bodies and know how to channel their sexual energy to create things and really create powerful, like impactful, deep sexual bonds with people. And that's not meant to say that, she's sleeping around the industry. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the Venus and Pluto energy combined makes the person a very sexually charged person, especially in a female's chart. Whereas if it was a Mars-Pluto conjunction, it makes in a male's chart, it makes them much more sexual and more sexually desired too. Anything Pluto kind of touches, it definitely magnifies the depth of it, the sexuality of it, the power of it, all of those things. So with the Venus and Pluto conjunction in Scorpio, it definitely enhances that power of sexuality and that sexual understanding and transmutation and really knowing the power that sex holds, and the immense strength that you can get out of being sexual and channeling that energy in the correct way. So I know for a fact that Cardi is extremely powerful with that. Within her chart, she's extremely sexual, which is fine, and she's accomplished so much because she's able to let that out and use that as motivation and as a muse, sort of, to be able to get more creative things made. That Pluto-Venus conjunction is really what's kind of saving her too, because if you look at it, I mean, we have that big square, and then that Venus conjunction in Scorpio is really supported by it's not even negatively affected by pretty much any planet. And then also that is sextiling her Uranus and Neptune. So if anything, that Pluto-Venus is the only thing in the chart, really. I mean, not the only thing, but it's the point in the chart that is the most powerful, and it's the most influential because it's most supported by everything else. You know, we have that Mercury in Scorpio as well. It's not conjunct Venus or Pluto, but it is in the very beginning signs of Scorpio. But it is definitely a very powerful placement. Mercury in Scorpio, for any artist, it's a tricky placement because Mercury in Scorpio, same like Mercury in Capricorn, when they get involved with the public, their words could hurt. You know, with a lot of Scorpio energy or Capricorn energy, especially around like Mercury and Gemini stuff, they can definitely bring out some skeletons out of the closet, you know, and really just unearth things because they see it and they need to tell people the truth and the deep truth, you know, because Scorpio is all about the depth of the truth and understanding the trauma behind it and the reasoning behind it and the psychology behind it. And Mercury in Scorpio needs that to be expressed. It needs to have that outlet. So it can be very triggering. Scorpio is a very triggering placement. It can be very powerful as well, but it is the most transformative as well. So it can definitely have a profound impact on the native as well as any person within the chart, or within their chart. So then we also have, we have her sun in Libra, and we have her Jupiter in Libra too, but her Jupiter in Libra isn't even aspected by anything, which is pretty interesting. But it does show that there is a definite benefit to being Libra-like, to being in the public, to being a persona, and it makes Jupiter in Libra makes the native very lucky when it comes to PR and public image. So even though she had, you know, she's had her past of how she got to where she got to, you know, she's always held true of her character and her strength, and she's not willing, or she's not afraid to pull back, or not pull back, express herself fully and express all of that fully, and just whip that Scorpio tail and just do all that crazy stuff, you know. And then we have, you know, her sun trine Saturn, which is, she's actually going through her Saturn return right now, which is a very transformative time for her. So she's definitely being tested to definitely see what she wants to do, where she wants to be. She's already established her career. She's pretty well set off there. But the Saturn is also pretty well aspected. It is square her Mercury in Scorpio. So that does show a little bit of a apprehension to speaking, similar to what I said earlier about Mercury being in Scorpio or Pluto aspected, and then Mercury being in Capricorn. When Mercury and Saturn are aspect, so we have Mercury and Pluto, or Mercury in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, and then aspecting the Saturn in Aquarius, which is like creating this sort of tension between the depth and the rules, right? So Scorpio, or Scorpio Mercury is very deep and wants to expose, right? And then the Saturn energy that's squaring it is like, no, it's not correct, it's not the rules, it's not the right time to do this, you know. And I do feel that she is going to be a very profound person in the later years, and I don't think that she's going to stay in the music industry for forever. I think she's going to move on to bigger and better things, because I think she will get tired of just kind of being a person for the media. You know, I think she really wants to do something a little bit more powerful, a little bit more profound, a little bit more impactful. I know rap is definitely a beautiful thing for her, and she's done very, very well in the hip hop and rap era. And I know that but I really feel like she really wants more out of life, you know. And with the North Node in Sag, you definitely have a yearning for exploring and new things, you know. And I think as soon as she gets tired of the whole music industry, I feel that she's gonna go into something else, you know, because I think yeah, she found something that works for her and it's great, but I think she's the type of person that she's not gonna let that kind of define her for her entire life. I think she knows that she can amass much more and be much more successful doing other things as well to add to her skill set, you know. Because I wouldn't want her to stay an artist, not because I don't like her, it's just because I don't I think she offers so much more, and she has so much more power and potential to be so much more than just a hip hop artist, you know, or this persona that she is, you know. Um, so that's kind of that. I mean, there's a lot more to it. I want to kind of talk about the Mars opposite Uranus and Neptune for a little bit. So Mars in Cancer opposite Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. So anything that Uranus and Neptune aspects, which by the way, most people have Uranus and Neptune conjunct or in some sort of aspect, in like anyone that's like within like, I think like 16-ish to like 28, something on that. Don't quote me, I might be wrong, but Uranus and Neptune for most of Capricorn and a little bit of Aquarius were kind of all kind of functioning together, because Uranus and Neptune kind of move about the same. I mean, not, they don't move, they move similarly. They don't move always the same amount of time, but for Uranus and Capricorn, they were kind of moving for that same period for most of that sign. So most people have Uranus and Capricorn, or Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn aspected somehow. So with the Mars in Cancer aspect and in opposition, it shows that there's a definite need to connect to the collective and really have a say in that. And really, that is what motivates people when they have a Mars opposite, a Mars, Uranus, Neptune aspect. It shows that there's a need to innovate, there's a need to change, there's a need to connect to the collective and connect to a lot of people. Uranus energy wants to just connect to so much. And she has her Saturn Aquarius, which is telling her that she needs to solidify social groups and solidify where she stands, you know, and find a cause to really go into. And maybe that's what she moves into, is a cause, some sort of charity, something like that. But the Mars Uranus Neptune energy does make it a little bit difficult for the native to kind of act sometimes, because their intuition and their higher mind and everything is kind of making that a little bit more hazy and hard to understand. So she could have, you know, a very different approach to how she does things, a different approach to how she goes about her goals and things like that. But I do think that she will have a change in her career. I don't know when, probably, I mean, if it were to happen, it would happen probably around this next 2 or 3 years. But she is a powerful soul, for sure. I mean, with that grand square, no one really can handle that well and get through all that and be that successful as she has been. And you know, it's riding on her Venus-Pluto conjunction in Scorpio, really, honestly, it really is. And it's really what's going to make her a lot of money. It's what's going to help her out. It's what's going to support her. All of that, you know, and the communication and really learning how to communicate much better is definitely something that she needs to know. You know, she's a hard worker, and the world sees that, you know, and I think she might need to change her direction just for her own sanity and her own sort of self, because she really needs to balance the self and the other, because with the full moon, there is a need to balance the self versus the other, because it is the moon's in Aries and the sun's in Libra. So there is a balance that needs to be had in that realm. And I think she's doing a great job of it, honestly. I mean, she isn't as supported in the hip-hop industry or the music industry as other artists. But I think that's because she is extremely powerful and controversial for that. And she's not afraid to speak her mind. You know, yeah, she might hold her tongue a little bit. But at the end of the day, she wants to say what she wants to say, and she'll say it. And it might have hurt some people, but I don't think I don't think it's such a bad thing to really expose some people sometimes. I don't know. It's a really weird sort of approach to that. But yeah, I think that her Scorpio energy is very powerful, and she's here to accomplish very, very powerful things and really be a voice for change, for sure. You know, that Mercury square Saturn really wants that, and wants that sort of energy too. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I absolutely love you. I hope you enjoyed this celebrity reading. I'm going to be doing more of these. I have a list of things that I want to do astrology-wise and video-wise on this channel, so I'm going to try to knock them out, get them all done. But yeah, if this interests you and you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. As I said earlier, there is a link in the description for all my social media. I'm going to say it again. I do a weekly giveaway for 2 free astrology readings. So if you're interested in that, go follow me on TikTok and you can check it out there. And I can see if you qualify, and we can put you in my little giveaway. Long story, just check it out. Don't listen to me right now. Just go check it out. All right, I love you. I'll see you later. Thanks, guys. Bye.